Welcome back to the Postpartum Plan podcast. This podcast is designed to support and empower you through postpartum. Whether you're expecting, in the early postpartum days, or beyond, this space is for you. I'm your host, Madison Fugere, a dedicated postpartum doula and pediatric sleep consultant, striving to help parents feel confident and supported in their parenting journey. Each week, I'm sharing practical tips and expert advice to help you navigate all the postpartum things with confidence. Well, as much confidence as you can. Let's embark on this journey together, making your parenthood as serene and supportive as possible. Welcome back to the podcast. I am here solo today to talk all things naps, and more specifically, the dreaded 30-minute nap. Let's be real, I'm sure you guys can relate. You put down your kiddo, they finally are asleep, you have a successful transfer to that crib, you are hyped, now running around the house, accomplishing everything that you can, whether that be taking a shower, making some food, cleaning up, or whatever it is. And next thing you know, you look at the clock and it's been 27 minutes. And you cross your fingers, hoping and praying that that little one will stay asleep past the 30-minute mark. But like clockwork, you hear them cry, and it is time for them to be up. It's 30 minutes on the dot, and now you don't know what to do. It is an endless cycle, and you are not alone. So many people come to me telling me that their little ones are only sleeping 30-minute naps, and they don't know what to do. And it's one of the most common things that I hear. So I'm here today to kind of talk a little bit about it, about the why it might be happening, and about how you can fix that. So let's dive into it. So the 30-minute nap is very, very developmentally appropriate. Why it's happening, right? Like, let's talk about the why and when you might see this. Babies that are super little when they first come home are typically either great sleepers and they're sleeping all the time and they need to be woken up to eat, or they're waking up on their own and looking to eat. So we don't typically see them start to realize that the world truly exists and start to have that FOMO until about 6 weeks old. For some babies, especially those who have older siblings around, I find that it tends to be a little earlier, but typically around 4 to 6 weeks is when they start to realize that the world exists. And then when we get to that 3 or 4 month sleep regression, 3 to 4 month age bracket is when we start to see a lot of things with sleep change. That's when those sleep cycles are changing. That's when developmentally we're able to help children they start to more independently soothe instead of needing our help. And so at that point, that's when you start to have things changing a little bit. Then those 30-minute naps can continue for some. At others, it starts to change at that age. It really depends on your goals and kind of what you are hoping to implement and trying to implement, as well as your child's personality. However, from that 4 to 6 week age until 3 months is typically where I see the most people saying that their little one is only sleeping 30 minutes. After that, we continue to see it until typically about 6 months old or so. If your kiddo is 6 months old or older and is still struggling with those 30-minute naps, typically at that point, it's more of a habit. And it's something that we are just used to doing. And whether that be because they are contact napping most of the time, or because they are used to sleeping in places that move, like the car or the stroller, things like that can happen as well. But the 30-minute nap is mostly happening during that age bracket from 4 to 6 weeks until about 6 months old. And that is because of our sleep cycles. Yes, the sleep cycles change around 3 months old. However, we are still experiencing sleep cycles that are about 20 to 40 minutes in that age bracket. And so with a 20 to 40 minute sleep cycle, what typically is happening is if you're supporting your child to fall asleep when they wake up in between sleep cycles, they need that support to fall back to sleep. Now, for some kiddos, they wake up, they see you, or they see you're not there, and they have this, struggle to fall back to sleep after taking that one sleep cycle. For other kiddos, you can go in and pretty easily help them get back to sleep. So it depends on your kiddo's personality. I'm sure that if you're listening and struggling with this, you've tried it all. So we're going to talk a little bit more about your options. So short naps are totally normal with that age bracket. However, it is something that we can kind of start to stretch. In order to stretch those sleep cycles, we want to talk about a few things. The first thing we want to talk about is your awake windows. We want to make sure that your awake windows that your baby is having are developmentally appropriate. I do have a schedule by age guide as well as a sleep chart available. You can check that out in the show notes. They are both free. Send me a message, grab that chart, and it will help you to identify different time frames of how long your child should be awake for an awake window, how much sleep they need in 24 hours, as well as when their naps might typically be based on their age. So, for example, if your kiddo needs a certain amount of an awake window and they are not getting that long of an awake window, or they're getting too long, they're now going to be under or overtired trying to fall asleep, which means that they're going to wake up after a shorter period of time. If we can get it to that sweet spot, which I know is so difficult to find, they often will sleep longer, which is great. The second thing you want to do is making sure that you are making the sleep environment the most conducive to sleep. So, especially if we're talking about naps here, we want a dark place. We want a place that's quiet or has a sound machine. And we also want to make sure the room is about 68 to 72 degrees. That is the ideal temperature for tiny little humans. And we want to make sure these three things are in place in order to help our children to sleep in the best way that they can. So we put them down, we get them down, whether that be that you are putting them down by supporting them in some way, whether that's rocking, feeding, whatever that may be, and then putting them down to sleep. You have to remember that if you are doing that, typically they're going to be looking for that support in between sleep cycles. So if you put them down and you know they wake up at the 30-minute point every single time, you have a couple options. You can go in 5 minutes before, right before they wake up, and be right crib side. So the second they start stirring, you can tap their little booty, rub them, help them to get right back into that deep sleep again. And that will help them to ideally connect those sleep cycles. Or you can go in right when they start to fuss or move and try to help them at that point. And the last option that you can do is, well, actually, two options. One is you can give them a little bit of space. We want to practice giving them a little bit of a pause in between, especially for kiddos that are 3 months old and older. It is totally okay to give them some time. Below that, I typically say anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. After 3 months old, we talk about 5 to 15 minutes you can give them of a break. 15 minutes typically more so for like toddlers, so you don't need to get that far with it. But even just giving it a few minutes to see if they can kind of fuss or whine and fall back to sleep on their own, or if they're just hanging out and they're content, totally leave them. Some kiddos wake up content and just look around, hang out for 10, 15 minutes, and then fall back to sleep, and that's beautiful as well. So if that is not your style and they wake up and you are like, wow, we are definitely still tired, but I don't know what to do, we're going to practice our rescue naps. Rescue naps, you guys have heard me talk about before, but a rescue nap is essentially the idea that when your child wakes up, you are going to be prepared. So the second they go down, you are prepping yourself. You're putting that baby carrier on, you're getting that stroller ready, you're packing that go bag, whatever it may be. Because when they do wake up, you're going to go right to a rescue nap. So whether that be that you are throwing them in the baby carrier and you're getting them back to sleep and then you're accomplishing whatever else that you were trying to finish during nap time, or you throw them in the stroller and go for a walk and they fall back to sleep, or you just end up being nap trapped and you take a seat in that rocking chair and you rock them, or you might pop them into their car seat and jump into the car. All of these things are going to be helpful for helping a rescue nap, which is essentially getting them back to sleep so they can get that full nap in. By getting that full nap in, they are going to be well rested enough to try to accomplish doing this whole nap process again independently next time. So if you have a really short nap and they don't fall back to sleep, we find that typically they're not rested enough for that next nap to have enough confidence and enough rest, I guess, because they're overtired at that point. I don't know what else word to use. They're overtired at that point. They can't fall asleep independently. So if we can practice by giving them a full nap so that they are well rested enough to do so, then that is our goal. All right. So the other thing that you can think about too, and a lot of people have a really hard time with these 30-minute naps. It's such a hard mental battle as a parent when you're trying to accomplish so much. And I will say this, and it's a lot easier said than done, but remember that this isn't forever, right? We want to remember that, it is okay that you might have dishes in your house all over your sink, and it is okay that the laundry is piling up, and it is okay if the biggest thing that you do all day is is just go to the bathroom or just eat a meal. It is okay if you are trapped in a chair, nap trapped for an hour or two at a time during every single nap throughout the day. It's not forever. And what also to remember here is if it's working for you, that is beautiful and that is great. And you can get those snuggles in and everything is working. And remember that if it's not working for you, then that's also okay. It's okay to need support and it's okay to not know the answers of how to help your child. That's why there are experts, right? Whether it comes to sleep, lactation, or whatever you might need, it's okay to not know how to take the next steps. So, with that being said, if you do need support, there are so many ways to get that. Sleep support can be really, really controversial and it can be really, really overwhelming, but you have to remember that no matter what sleep support you take, as a sleep consultant, you want to find somebody who can support you in your goals and meet you at your comfort level. So, whether that means helping your kiddo get sleep at night and taking one feed at night, or sleeping through the night for 11 to 12 hours, or if you're looking for just a gentle approach where you have the option of being able to put your little one down, but you still want to have contact naps. All of those things are okay, and all of those things are things that you can meet and goals that you can accomplish by sleep training or by having just some support in your corner. You don't need to do an all or nothing, and that is totally okay to need support or to want to do just a little bit at a time. So please keep that in mind when you are listening to this episode. There's so much that comes with all of these short naps, but like I said, remember, they're not forever. Take it day by day and try to pick an option and stay consistent, and hopefully you'll see some success in the future. And if not, please check out the show notes below and let me know if you need any help. Again, in the show notes below, there's also the free schedule by age guide, which can help you to navigate your days. So definitely check that out too. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Postpartum Plan podcast. I hope that today's episode brought you support, relatability, and valuable insight. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review and share with any of your prenatal and postpartum friends and family. Your feedback helps us reach more parents seeking support. And if you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to connect via Instagram at Serene Moments Doula for constant information, tips, and tricks, or check out my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com. See you next week.